That's whose fault it is.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Oh my god. Stop. Notifications.
Yeah, stop being popular.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Problem
Sorry.
solved.
Sorry. My bad. Yikes. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much.
All
What's up
right,
with you?
cool. Nah, you know,
Yeah,
that's all I got, really.
yeah. Sounds interesting.
Yep. I had stuff, and I don't know where it went. I honestly think I didn't save any of it, so that actually sounds more correct than anything else. I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk about this on the podcast with Joe.
That sounds about on par.
It's literally where it stopped, though. Apparently, didn't do anything about it.
I think last week, remember, I talked about how I was having problems with my bookmarks on my iPad?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was completely missing. So, for some reason, on the sidebar, it was only showing me, it would say Apple News, following, and then give me all of the following stuff I'm following, and then give me all the recommendations and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, how do I even get back to the homepage? I have no idea. It was totally missing Today, News Plus, Saved Stories, and History. Just not there. I had to uninstall the app and reinstall it in order to get those back. It was so annoying. Anyway. I know one thing that you can talk about, because it does kind of lead into the first thing that I was going to mention. How was M3GAN?
How do I put this politely? It's not good.
What?
I'm confused on a lot of things. Obviously, we all don't really go by review anything, right? Like, we don't ever like pay attention to reviews.
No, because a lot of times it doesn't really line up with what we think is a good movie.
Yeah. So I saw this tweet on obviously on Twitter. I don't know why I was going to say I saw a tweet on Twitter. I saw this tweet come across from someone I believe makes good movies,
There it is.
and he said, he's like, not to be critical, but you know, M3GAN is a fun time, not original, and he's like, but you know, go see it. The reviews aren't a lie, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, okay. So I looked at the reviews, and at the time it was like,
So at the time that you texted it to us, the tomato meter
oh yeah,
was
you
at
found it.
94%, and the audience score was at 80%.
Yeah. So I was like, confusion. So I remember when we first watched the first teaser, we were both like, well, this seems interesting, but like kind of Then that first trailer came out, and I was like, I'm out. I don't care. This movie looks stupid. So I wrote it off. I didn't pay any attention to it. Then I saw that tweet, and I looked up the reviews, and I was like, I am so confused on, like, I started to doubt if I was like a scary horror suspense thriller slasher movie fan, because I'm confused by what people have been liking, like the second and third Halloween movies that came out, the fucking David Gordon Green ones, because they're horrendous. They are terrible movies.
So just to state, as of right now, Rotten Tomatoes says it's 95% on the tomato meter and 79% audience score.
Boggles my mind. I have more problems with this movie than I do things I liked about it.
Okay.
Like, from a writing standpoint, and I'm not a fucking end all be all know everything about writing, right? But just there's like, and you know I hate this term, and I hate saying it out loud. I'm gonna say it, but plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes, dude! This thing is Swiss cheese when it comes to plot, dude. There's so many problems with the shit that is said in this movie, and then shit that happens. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. It's like there's a part, like, completely, obviously you're not going to know what's going on in the movie.
No.
but I'll break it down for you. So there's a part in it where they talk about how borderline indestructible M3GAN is, right? She's made of this special, like, they name off some fucking metals or whatever, which would make her super heavy, you would think, right?
By the way, is what you want to build a person, like a friend out of, right? Like super grit, military grade, indestructible material.
Yeah, right? For multiple reasons.
Are we getting into the whole Wolverine problem where Wolverine supposedly weighs 1,000 pounds, yet somehow a motorcycle can hold him up when he jumps, when he makes ramps?
The opposite.
Oh.
So you would think, she's got, all these computer parts in her. She's got servos and muscles and all these things to keep her upright and all these things, right? Because, like, I will ask you, and I didn't look it up, a Boston Dynamics robot, right? One of the ones that walks humanoid, they must weigh quite a bit, right?
I actually don't know. I don't think they really have batteries on them, so they don't have that going for them, but they have to be fairly lightweight. If I had to guess, which I'll look it up while you continue on here, I would, if I had to guess, though, they probably would weigh like somewhere around a normal human being, maybe 75 to 100 pounds.
Okay. So at one point in this movie, let me actually back up. So the whole movie has faults throughout the whole thing. There's little things I could nitpick, obviously. There's big things that I could just blatantly say. But there's these weird things like this one I'm going to explain to you that really bothered me. So they get ready to launch M3GAN as a product, right? But they need to do more testing and they want to keep it under wraps. So their major competition, Hasbro, doesn't steal the idea. Right? So they're like, hey, let's keep this under wraps. Let's let nobody see M3GAN, none of it, right? Well, the little girl who's been patterned with her, so like, they bonded, whatever, and like she's like her best friend now, has attachment issues because her parents were killed and this like her friend thing, right? Whatever, right? So she refuses to go to this new school that she has to go to. She's trying to go to, or that her aunt wants her to go to. So she's throwing a fit that she wants to bring M3GAN because M3GAN's her best friend, blah blah blah, and like M3GAN's not supposed to be out in public. So instead of just saying, all right, fine, you're not going to this school, she's like, all right, fine, but we'll put her on the toy table with all the rest of the toys.
So she goes to the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So already breaking the rule that they need to keep this thing hidden from people.
Now you're just treating it as a giant American Girl doll?
Yeah. It's
okay.
Yeah. So then you see her, M3GAN, and she's on this table, right? And she is around stuff like around all these other toys. There's a big stuffed animal or stuffed bear next to her, and I'm like, okay, that's just super awkward because it looks like this weird girl is just sitting in the toys. No one's batting an eye. I'm like, there's no fucking chance people wouldn't be like, what's this? Anyhow, right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. So this bully is antagonizing the girl, and of course M3GAN's watching them, and she can track her vitals wirelessly somehow. So dumb. And so she sees that she's in distress, so M3GAN goes to help. And she's standing there, she's not talking, not when the little boy's like, make her talk, and she's like, she talks if she wants to, and then he basically like picks M3GAN up like nothing and runs off with her. And I'm like, how? This robot should weigh like a human being, and this kid just boom and just runs off.
So on that point, I found the weight of the Atlas from Boston Dynamics. The Atlas is that one of the more humanoid-looking ones, the one that jumps and runs and I guess does the monkey bars.
Yeah.
I was off, but kind of. So it weighs 89 kilograms, which is 187 pounds.
Okay.
So this, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, just like fucking
picks this
up a 190-pound robot.
Yeah, so I'm saying like that just makes no sense because like They talk about how she, like, they even show like a boss dynamics type test where the dude's got a pugil stick with like a soft thing on it, and he pushes her, and she like falls, like she like catches herself where she falls. So which means she's got servos and all sorts of fun stuff in there to keep her balanced and all these things, right? Which have to weigh something.
So they would have to be using some sort of exotic metal that they didn't describe to say that she basically weighs nothing.
Yeah. Right? So dumb. And then that's just one of the things. And then like the whole like the one part that really bothered me from a just a visual standpoint is she is like, after like the little boy takes her away, he is a monster. First off, he when he goes to basically assaults the little girl, not Megan, the actual girl, he takes one of those, those like, like on fucking certain trees they have those little like fucking balls that have the spiky things on them. I don't know if you've ever been in the
Things.
Yeah, they're about the size of a golf ball maybe.
Trying to just think of what tree. Pine cones?
No, they're not pine cones. It's something like a pine cone, but obviously not a pine cone. But anyhow, so he puts one of those in her hand, squeezes her hand, and like it dimples her hand or whatever, right? Obviously hurts because there are little spiky things on it. So Megan gets all fucking, protective and goes over there. He scones with Scots, just picks her up and runs away. He's sitting there. He like throws her on the ground, mounts her rape style. It's fucking uncomfortable to watch, and just starts beating on Megan. I'm like, well, this kid clearly has issues.
Clearly. He's about to have more issues too.
And so she then attacks him. She grabs him by the ear and starts pulling it, right?
Okay.
For some reason, it stretches like 8 inches before it rips.
Well, elastic?
Exactly. It looked fucking terrible. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, it should have just ripped off his head, not fucking stretched like he's made of rubber. I was like, this makes no sense whatsoever. So that was dumb, right? But then she chases him, and he falls down and gets hit by a car and dies. Cool, awesome, whatever, right? But there's these continuity errors that just drive me insane. Sorry. The school that she goes to is one of these hippie schools where it's like they go outdoors and do random shit or whatever, and it's like they have like slack rules or whatever, and like they're enjoying nature. It's fucking stupid, right? It's so dumb.
Just think that there would be some sort of adult supervising everybody,
Sort of. They're like,
out and being like,
the adults are back at like the base camp.
There's that creepy doll that's just beating that kid.
Yeah,
and
like
a random car just then chases him out into the street, and a random car just hits the kid.
Well, I left out some details about that.
Fair enough.
But it's stupid, first off, because like Megan is, when you see her, she's disheveled, right? So she's like leaves in her hair and blah blah blah, right? But the next time you see her, she's clean and nothing. There's no problem. There's so many problems with it. It's so stupid, right? So that's just one of the issues. Then there's like this, like, essentially instead of like a montage of like things happening over the time frame of like getting her ready for release and testing her with the little girl and all this stuff, it just seems like it's a couple days for this whole thing. It's so dumb. The pacing's terrible with it, and it's just so lackluster in explanation. But the real things that bothered me, they like break their own rules multiple times. Like, she's able to like essentially hold a human being down, but yet she's lightweight, right?
Right. So if they're on the floor, if a little kid could just get to run up and grab her and run off with her, but she's somehow pinning an adult to the ground,
yeah,
how would that be possible?
Exactly.
You should just be able to push her off.
Like, I get it if your grip strength was strong, right? She's like holding onto your arm or your neck or whatever, right? I get it, but like,
you still should be able to get up.
She has the like child hands. So like, it wouldn't really grip around you. Like, yeah, it'd be tough, right? Because she's like, it's strong, but like you could just throw her off of you.
Yeah.
Like, you could ragdoll the shit out of her.
Right.
It's there's so many of those problems. Like story wise, also just a fucking shitstorm. So the reason she goes bad, which they don't tell you but they kind of show you, is her something in her coding goes bad, which makes the AI go corrupt. Right? So dumb.
They don't ever explain it.
Because
I imagine that this is going to be toy soldiers. Like, this is Toy Soldiers meets Chucky, or New Chucky, because New Chucky wasn't...
New Chucky was AI. Yeah.
Was AI-based, not a possessed thing either.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what you would think, right? So, like, oh, yeah, someone fucking moved a fucking comma and it just went batshit, right? No. Somehow the software got corrupted because of an electrical problem, because a dog attacked her. And a spark went off in her head and somehow completely changed her AI to be a little too overprotective and murderous.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. It's rough to say the least. Like, it's just so many problems with it. Like, even like, so I didn't know this until after the fact because an article came up in a page told me about it and I found it. Apparently this was going to be rated R.
Yes.
And I think you and I might have talked about it. But because of all the popularity between teens and TikTokers,
yep,
they decided to cut it to be rated PG-13 to try to draw in that audience, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like hardly any gore. There's only real 2 scenes of violence, like that you see on camera. Well, no, 3. The little boy, the power washer, which makes absolutely no fucking sense, and the fucking paper cutter thing, which is just, again, the stupidest fucking thing in the world. Those are like the scenes where she attacks somebody. Then there's the I called it the Die Hard elevator, because the elevator opens up, and there's 2 dead bodies covered in blood in there, which reminds me of obviously Die Hard.
Ho! Now I have a machine gun.
Yep. So and then it's just like, what else can I say? The final battle, I guessed at the beginning of the movie, which is not hard to guess if you pay attention to movies at all. There's another robot she had been working on, but instead of being artificially intelligent, it's human-driven. Mm-hmm. It's called Bruce, and it is supposed to be a bigger, heavier robot, much like one of the Boston Dynamics ones, but it has no face. It's just a cylinder, and when you open it up, it's got, like, if you look at it, it does kind of have a face once you take the little thing off because of the computer components. But it has its brain, which is like, you know, the memory and processing unit, all that stuff like that. But it's controlled by these gauntlets, very a la Real Steel, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
And they look like power gloves from Nintendo.
Nice. And
you basically take it and you put them on and you do this, and it activates Bruce. And then you can move Bruce around with the different controls, and then your hands can do whatever, right? It's fucking cool looking. But I was like, that's what they're going to use to save themselves from M3GAN.
Uh-huh.
I said it to Paige. I was like, Bruce is the key to saving them from M3GAN. And she's like, what? I was like, just wait. Sure enough, that's exactly what happens. And then the reveal of the little girl wearing the gauntlets is so uninspired, it's ridiculous.
That she's fighting her own.
So she's standing in the door, like her aunt's getting attacked and getting mauled by M3GAN, which again makes no sense because like she should just be able to throw her across the room, hit her with something heavy, whatever, right? So stupid. So this is the part that throws me off so bad, is they're in her workshop / office, right, where Bruce is at, and the gauntlets are in there. They're fighting. The little girl shows up, never once enters the room, is in the doorway, has her hands behind her back, and I was like, oh, clearly she has the gauntlets on. Somehow she got them in the room.
Somehow she ran in, was like, I'm going to make it a dramatic entrance. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just stay there. Grabs the gauntlets and then runs back out of the room.
Yeah, and then so Megan sees her, says, "You don't want to see this." It has a very Chucky moment too because her face got split, and so there's like this like bloody gash, and you can see her robot exoskeleton underneath the latex skin or whatever. So stupid. And she's like, I don't want you to see this. Everything's gonna be fine. Blah blah blah. Right? It's so stupid. The little girl is like, we forgot to introduce you to another member of the family. I was like, ugh, here it comes. And the cut to an angle where you can see the gauntlet on one of her arms before she's exposed them, and then it cuts back to her and she lifts her hands up. His name is Bruce and does this, and Bruce just comes alive and there's like this fight and like she like literally uses Bruce to rip the doll in half, right? Mm-hmm. And just throws the parts away and they think, oh, all's good.
Well, no, it's a robot, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so what do you think happens?
Like the top half and probably even the bottom half even still comes alive.
No, it's the top half. Crawls over
Just
the
the
debris and like comes at him, and I was like,
yeah.
So
always go for the head.
Yeah, I was like, so dumb. Did we not learn anything from Avengers? Like Thor told us. So stupid. So that's dumb, right? And then they just like they obviously leave it open for a sequel, which is the article I actually have open in front of me after you said M3GAN, because I had it at one point, talking about how they're M3GAN 2.0 to happen in 2025. They set a release date for January 17th, 2025 for the sequel to the Blumhouse and Atomic Monsters hit film. This bothers me so much because, the name M3GAN 2.0 is so stupid.
I was actually just thinking of the name as well. Like, it's not just M3GAN, it's M3GAN.
Yeah.
Which is like, I could already see them doing that if this was the third movie in the franchise. Look, it's M3GAN 3. But how are you gonna, like, when you ultimately make the third movie, is this gonna be M3GAN 3.0?
Yeah, it's so stupid, dude.
M3GAN 3.0? Like, yeah.
So
it seems pretty dumb.
M3GAN is obviously an acronym. It's model.
Is it?
Yeah, so it's Model 3 Generative Android. So that's what M3GAN stands for. Yeah,
it's
well,
not an acronym.
I know it's not, but that's what they're using for it. So it's M3GAN is literally Model 3 Generative Android is what M3GAN stands for. Basically, someone making words to sound like a name.
Well, even and not to be pedantic, you could leave most of it capitalized then, but that N wouldn't be capitalized because it's part of Android.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a different word; it's part of Android. So it'd be M3GA lowercase n to indicate whatever.
Yeah. So I know it's not an acronym because it's not, but that's what they use it for. So it is an acronym in their stupid logic and their fucking pseudoscience. But yeah, it's just dumb from there. It's literally like, I haven't watched the new Chucky because it looked terrible, but I do know that it was an AI that got corrupted from whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm. In this movie, they literally give themselves an opportunity to make a true corruption of the software.
Okay.
So there's multiple characters in this movie, obviously, right? There's Gemma and there's Katie, the aunt and the newly supervised child, niece of hers, because of her parents dying in a horrific head-on accident in snow. Fucking terrifying. And by the way, there was a Starship Troopers type moment in this show, in this movie.
Got their head blown off after taking the helmet off?
No, which is super hilarious. That's also very Saving Private Ryan-y, but anyways. Yeah. It starts off with a TV commercial for a toy that the little girl is playing with when they get in the car accident. And it's a toy that her aunt is developing. And that's the kind of like the kickoff to the plot is they're working on a new version of this that's cheaper to manufacture, and so they can make more money off of them. But she's secretly working on M3GAN on the side. So that's kind of how the plot kind of moves forward with it. But we're really confused when it first starts because it's like this Furby knockoff thing that uses an app to play with it and like all these different weird things, and it's so like I'm surprised it doesn't exist type thing.
Actually, I think the newer Furbies do work off apps.
Okay, so yeah, it's probably what it is. Yeah. Anyhow, so that was kind of like I was like, oh, that's actually really clever to do a commercial and then go into the little girl playing with it, and how much of her parents hate it, and then going into the rest of the movie, I was like, oh, cool. Okay, that's a cool way to start it. And then this movie just fucking downhill from there. But, so what I was going to say is, so all the different characters, right? There's Gemma, there's Katie. There's Gemma's two assistants slash partners in the projects they're working on, like the little Furby thingy, and M3GAN. And then there's their boss and their boss's assistant. Their boss is a douche. He's belittling to his assistant. So at one point, when they get ready to debut, or basically like show M3GAN off, the boss gets super excited and he's like, "All right, cool. Just promise me it can be less than a Tesla." And she's like, "Yeah, we can do that." Right? It was a stupid fucking comment, right?
Yeah.
By the way, the selling price of M3GAN is $10,000 when they debuted as a toy.
That's not a toy.
Yeah, right? Okay. So,
let's put it like this. That's not a child's toy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a real doll costs less than $10,000.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but now that you have, yes.
Yeah. So some pervert is going to fuck this thing. Anyhow.
I didn't, yes. Yeah, I didn't want to bring that into it, but yes.
I don't care. I'll bring it up. Anyhow, so, this is one of the many plot holes that really drove me insane. So, M3GAN was kept off books. Somehow only cost $100,000 of resources to create.
That makes no sense. It should be millions of dollars for something that's going to cost $10,000.
Yeah, right? So dumb. So, stupidest fucking thing in the world. I think they just misspoke or something, or like someone missed a decimal point in there. I don't know, whatever it was. So that's already a fucking stupid line to put in there, because like there's no way you secretly used only $100,000 to make this fucking robot.
Like, you're basically building it off of Boston Dynamics stuff, like you said. You could literally just be like, "Hey, what's the R&D on this type of thing?" Oh, it'd be like probably $10 million plus.
Yeah,
honestly.
Right. Yeah.
AI, servos, design, manufacturing, like all that stuff cost more than $100,000. Manufacturing alone, just tooling stuff, would cost more.
Yeah. So that's already dumb, right? So the boss is like, make sure, promise me it's less than a Tesla, blah, blah, blah. So they're all excited, right? And he's like, we need to keep this under wraps. Make sure, none of our competitors know about it. And we're going to kick Hasbro in the dicks, or whatever he said. His assistant then slinks off, opens up his laptop, and just somehow goes right into the files for M3GAN.
Makes sense.
This hidden project that nobody knew about.
He's able to look, that secret not so secret hard drive file right there.
Yeah,
that was just labeled other stuff.
Then copies it.
Just M3GAN.
Yeah, then copies it over to his external hard drive. Right, I'm sure they never explain this. I'm sure to use to sell to the competitor or undercut, whatever it is, right? None of that comes up again.
So that was just there and just never fleshed out.
Yeah, so I'm guessing M3GAN 2.0 has something to do with that, maybe if they're smart, but I don't think they are, so maybe it's not going to do. But this is what I'm getting at. That little scene is what could have led you to a better plot than the dog bite affecting M3GAN's AI.
He accidentally deletes benice.exe or something like that?
No. So what you could say is he would send this to the competitor, right? You don't have to name him, but you could name him if you wanted to. And the competitor say, hey, we need you to slow them down. If you upload this into that file, next time they update M3GAN, it'll corrupt something and slow them down, right? Like espionage type shit. None of that happened. Instead, somehow the computer programming got affected by a short in a servo somewhere in the neck that got affected when the dog attacked her. bro, what? Like, I don't want to use a Jurassic Park line, but if one of the robots in Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, they don't start eating the people riding the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, they just don't
Yeah.
start firing cannons at them. It's so dumb. I was like, you don't even want to try to make this like pseudoscience. You're just gonna throw a bunch of stuff out to move your plot forward.
And there's no fail-safes in this system
Bro.
anymore. You would think there would be some sort of fail-safe, some sort of kill switch, some sort of something. Like, what the hell does it run off for batteries?
Bro, so it does have induction charging, which I thought was hilarious. And I don't remember them talking about it, but they show it. So in the little girl's bedroom, after they convert it from a fucking storage space because Gemma lived alone and didn't have any kids. So they talk about, hey, well, you know, get some decorations and make it up and it'll be a nice room. So later when Megan moves in, there's a little like chest by the window that has a charging base for Megan. So when Megan sits on it, it lights up and she charges. But they never mention it; they just show it. So if you're tech savvy, like some of us are, you would infer that, oh, that's an induction charging plate and she's charging through her butt, because that's exactly what she's doing. Not standing somewhere like we've seen in other robot things. She sits on this like hope chest type thing. Half of it's pillowy, the other half is this hard plastic / metal with lights where Megan sits and she charges through her butt.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's that. So, I mean, I legit, this is like so fucking pedantic and petty. I literally want to write a blog post and throw in all the changes I would make to make this a better movie.
Yeah.
Because there's so many problems I have with this fucking movie. I haven't even touched on majority of them.
I'm wondering at this point, because even reading the article that I originally was reading about how Megan was supposed to be more violent, I wonder how much was cut that would make it make sense. Obviously, there are probably some scenes still, like the little kid grabbing the gloves in the room, that don't really make sense when she's not in the room. But I wonder how much was cut so much because they had to cut the deaths, the extreme gore, that they just ended up creating a shit ton of plot holes because of it.
Maybe. I mean, there's been talk of like releasing
an unrated version.
Yeah. So, I mean,
so maybe it does solve some of the problems with it.
Maybe. Yeah, there's so many. It's just, and the biggest problem though, Joe, with this movie is the acting is horrendous for most part of it, like just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird like skip of logic in it is so hard to get past. So the whole dog thing, right? Warning, a dog gets killed. You don't see it, but it's essentially inferred. So, you know, that already made me mad because like there's no reason a dog should die. But whatever. But the dog first bites the little girl on the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. It first attacks Megan, grabs her by the arm, drags her in, then attacks her neck, which is like a total like fucking killer dog move, right? Like just goes for the neck, which is fucking crazy.
Right.
And then when the little girl pulls Megan off, that's when the dog bites her. Nothing happens to the dog. Dog doesn't get taken away from the lady. None of it. The cop says, like, they were trespassing, or like the dog was
anyway.
The dog was provoked. I'm like, that's not how this works in real life.
Right.
Even if a dog is provoked, if it bites a human being, usually it's taken away from its owner, and if not, euthanized.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty positive. Especially if it's a child, it gets attacked. Right? So
I think there's some extenuating circumstances, but yes, in basics, like if a kid's walking down the street and a dog just comes out of nowhere and just mauls them, then yes.
Yeah.
Even if that kid crosses over into the neighbor's front yard or something like that, it's still not provocation.
Yeah. And the other issues with this is, so the dog, they foreshadow this earlier when Gemma first brings Katie home. This dog comes out of nowhere and like aggressively attacks the window where the little girl's in the car. Starts barking and is like up on its hind legs, like almost attacking the window.
Which means that the dog can just get out anywhere.
Yeah, right. And so Katie shoos it away or whatever, and it runs through a hole in the fence. Right?
Yeah.
The lady, she's like, keep your dog off my yard. And she's like, well, why don't you fix the hole in your fence? First off, this is a fence that separates your property. That's a shared fence in a way, right? Obviously, it's probably on Katie's property, right? The real problem with this is
the dog is the one that's getting through the hole.
Yeah.
So take care of your goddamn dog.
But also, the hole clearly looks like it was made by the dog.
Yeah.
Because it's dog level,
Uh-huh.
and it's the size of the dog. So the dog damaged the Katie or Gemma's fence, which means the neighbor should be paying to get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not an issue here. Also, that dog could easily jump that fence.
Okay.
Easily
So
jump
this
that
isn't
fence.
like a 6-foot tall brick fence or
No.
anything like this. Is
Nah.
what, a white picket fence?
It's a fucking brownish burgundy colored picket fence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So dumb, right? And so the cops tells Gemma there's nothing we can do about it because the dog was provoked. Says the lady who owns the dog.
Which of course she would.
Yeah, right? Mind you, Katie's house is technologically everything. I
So she
guarantee
has
you there's
cameras.
cameras that
Yeah.
should be able to see all of her property and be able to see what happened.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Here
Ridiculous.
we have the dog just running up out of nowhere and attacking.
Yeah. So dumb, right? There's so many of those things in this movie that just like, bro, how did you not
seriously
catch
have
this?
to suspend your disbelief even on just normal stuff?
Like, I would have to be almost catatonic to not catch some of these fucking issues.
Gotcha.
It's so bad. So check it out when you get a chance, if you want.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not really necessary.
The suit that whatever actress that's wearing that actually M3GAN suit just bothers me. Like, I get it, it's supposed to look like a fake thing, but it almost just looks too uncanny to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. So,
It very much so looks like someone, very much so, not necessarily looks, but appears like someone wearing a suit to me. And it's just very weird looking to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like, this is what bothers me about this movie as well. When you look at it, you can tell it's not a real human being,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The way it stands, the way it just looks, right? People routinely confuse it for a little girl in this movie.
Which would make no sense because it doesn't look like a little girl. Maybe if I just like
From
turn
a
my head real
distance?
quick, or from a distance, I could. But if I'm up close with this thing, I'm like, that just basically looks like a doll.
Yeah. And the neighbor at one point says, why don't you ask the other little girl that lives at the house? But yet, the thing is, she knows that it attacked both of them. But see, the thing is, they don't tell you that Gemma hid M3GAN away, because that's the only way I think that could happen. Because M3GAN should have some kind of damage on her because it ripped up her arm and the back of her neck.
Right.
But Gemma didn't show that to the cops, just showed that the fucking bite mark on the little girl's arm, which obviously is sufficient enough evidence.
Right.
But again, nothing happens. It's so dumb. And the neighbor goes, why don't you ask the other little girl? And the cop goes, do you have another person living here? She says, no, it's just me and my niece. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not going to press the fact that this neighbor thinks there's another little girl lives there? Like, no investigation
Right. She
whatsoever?
actually saw something? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, dumb. And then when they go to the school and the teacher comes over, Katie's throwing her fit about wanting to go without M3GAN, and the lady goes, oh, we have another, like, person. I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, so stupid. It's so bad, dude. It's
Like, if you were going to go to that extent to make people think that it is actually a looks realistic, like a realistic looking doll, then don't even make the character look like a doll.
Yeah.
Just have a person do it. Isn't that what they did with I still haven't seen it yet either. That one really good Android movie.
AI?
Was it called AI?
Who's in it?
People?
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely AI.
Uh,
Well, AI is the Steven Spielberg one that was supposed to
no,
be...
not Steel
Okay.
Trooper. But yes, but yeah, that is the one. I was thinking of the newer one. I can't think of it. You saw it. You said I would like it, but I still haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, AI. Yeah, that's a good example as well. Haley Joel Osment is an android, but he is Haley Joel Osment. He's not Haley Joel Osment in a suit to make him look like a fake. He's not Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
Like that's a relatively good explanation, because Bicentennial Man, he starts off in a robot suit, and by the end he's just Robin Williams. That's how good the tech has got.
Yeah.
So it's that point of like, if you're going to sit there and have people call it, oh look, this is a real this is a real looking kid. It's like, no, it's not. I'm looking at it. It's not. It doesn't look real at all. It looks completely fake. So if you were to just have somebody act like a robot, but not wear these prosthetics, yeah, then I would say, okay, that's a really good looking doll.
Yeah, it's just... Oh, man. So many issues. All right, so going away from M3GAN,
Yes.
real quick before we wrap it up, I do want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about last week with the whole open game license from Wizard of the Coast.
OGL from D&D, or for D&D from Wizard of the Coast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I read more into this because I like I said last week, I did not know anything about this, and you had brought it to my attention. Bro, it goes so much deeper than what we originally thought it was.
Okay.
So the gist of it, and mind you, this isn't official yet, by the way. It's
No, that's one thing I didn't realize, is that this was leaked.
Yeah.
This is very much so leaked of what they were about to announce. I don't even think they said an exact date, but this is what they were working on to replace OpenGL
yes.
1.0.
Yeah, so it'll be so it's not official yet, but it's definitely in the works because the legalese came out and they're like, hey, that wasn't supposed to be for everybody to see. This is a work in progress, blah blah blah, right? So the leaked document states this, which is the most horrendous thing I could ever imagine a company trying to do. So it gets worse than what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about how, like, if you're a creator, you have to, like, you can give up to 25% of your revenue.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Gross. Yeah.
So that is true if you earn $750,000 or more utilizing the open gaming license. So
Yes.
OGL.
Yeah.
Okay? If you don't, which I'm guessing there's a lot of creators out there that don't make over $750,000.
That's going to affect very like the 1% of Critical Role and other ones like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is where the shit actually hits the fan. If you do not hit that threshold of revenue, you do not owe them money, but anything created using the OGL, they technically own.
Yes.
So, you have to go back to all content you've created in the OGL since signing up to use it, right? Document it, including back catalog and future stuff. And in that time, again, if you don't make that much money, all of that content can be owned and used by Wizard of the Coast going forward, which means they could then take your property, the stuff you made within that, and then resell it. And you don't get any profit.
Nope, because it was theirs to begin with, because it was their ideas. You base your stuff off their ideas. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. Yeah, some old bullshit, right? Like you basically have no control over any of the stuff that you created.
Bro. That is ridiculous.
And mind you, like most of these people probably don't even make money off of their own ideas and stuff. They come up with their own campaigns and stuff like that, but they don't really make money off of it. They're not selling it or anything. It's just something that they're doing for fun and broadcasting it for fun. But now you have the overarching corporate entity just being like, that's a good idea. We're going to take that and we're going to sell it. And you get nothing from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the wordage, you can't even claim the right that you created it, because in the legal worlds you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You used the building blocks. Like if I were to build something out of Legos and say I made this, I didn't, because Lego made the brick that I used to make it. Fucking mind-blowing, dude. I was like, wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was blown away when I was reading that. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. No wonder so many people are fucking furious.
Yeah, because it nickels and dimes and just it hurts the small people that literally have kept your business alive for years.
Yeah, that go back and buy all your different variations of your monster manual and your dungeon master guide and player handbook and all the different shit.
One good thing that has come out of this is, and I actually think I think it was Pathfinder that I know I mentioned it last week. We talked about how they do use the OpenGL, but they, I believe, were spearheading, and I could be wrong, I could be misremembering what company it is, a open source version of this, so that basically anybody could use it, and they don't have to rely on D&D's stuff in order to, to use those concepts.
Yeah, it blows my mind that they even legally can do that, but also just the gall you have to have, like just because, bro.
There's
like
something that you should watch. There's a guy on YouTube called Legal Eagle. He's a lawyer that actually goes through a lot of this stuff really in depth and from a lawyering perspective, and he actually covered this this past week. It's really interesting to watch him explain how there are certain things that you can technically copyright or trademark, but there are other things like you can't. So you can't technically copyright you can copyright you can't copyright a basic set of rules, but you can copyright a certain type of rules. It's really interesting how he goes over it and what this OpenGL would do legally. So I'd highly suggest watching that.
Yeah, it was very depressing to read through.
Yeah.
Because the whole original idea of Dungeons and Dragons was to use your imagination to grow the adventure, right? They give you the starting point. From here, just go and make your own adventure and do these things, right? Now they're just shitting on that, and they're saying, hey, use your imagination and we're gonna profit off it, and not the way you think, but literally stealing the stuff you've created.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and I
wow.
boil it down to all. I bet obviously they were bought by Hasbro, but they probably brought somebody online or into the fold and was just like, hey, we need to make this more profitable. How can we make this more profitable? Well, let's start moving into movies. They obviously tried it once, but it didn't work, but they're trying it again. Then I think they were they doing a TV show as well?
Yeah, Paramount just signed up for it.
That's right. Yeah, Paramount. And then it's okay, we're going to profit more off that. And how can we profit even more off of things? Well, how about we, charge the creators that are using our property for this, and then we'll just claim, since you're using our stuff as the basis for your stuff, that anything you create off that basis is ours now, and we should be able to legally use it and sell it. Like that's what it is. Somebody came on and just said, let's make this more profitable. And they don't care about the fan base.
Yeah, it's just fucking. I was shook, as the kids say.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, dude, like just how about you go forward and make something that you could charge as a service for?
They do. They have their own D&D.
It's called Beyond Access.
Beyond Access, yeah.
Yeah.
They charge a subscription service for it.
Yeah.
This became such a backlash. I don't know if you read this, but because of this backlash, so many people started canceling their subscription services that Wizards of the Coast actually pulled the page so that you couldn't cancel anymore. Now, I should say allegedly, because it's the same thing. It could be also a possibility that so many people went to cancel that it just brought their servers down.
Yeah.
But it seems more likely that people were like mass canceling, and so they were just like, oh no, the site went down. You can't cancel our stuff anymore.
Dude, just get ready for a fucking slew of lawsuits I can see coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Pathfinder and cool things they did, and kind of like a fucking like jab at Wizard of the Coast, which I thought was awesome, is they put up a promo code to get discounts on buying their adventure packs.
That's cool.
Which is funny because I was reading into that. I was like, well, isn't that going to be the same thing? No. So because Pathfinder paid for the usage of it and created their own, you wouldn't have to then pay the OGL for it.
Yes.
I was like, dang, Pathfinder out here fucking swinging. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. I was like, man, I don't even want to, but I kind of want to buy Pathfinder stuff now just because, like, that's super dope.
Right.
Way not to be dicks.
Exactly.
So, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I wanted to bring that up and talk about it more on here because we were talking about last week and
yeah,
just, oof, man.
Yeah, it's an evolving thing.
Yeah, it's going
and hopefully this pressure, like, the sad thing is, like, I guess the one thing is that hopefully this pressure on them will make them never implement this, or even if they do implement a new OpenGL, that they don't include that stuff. They actually go, we're going to lose a lot more business than if we implement this than if we don't.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I think they've already hurt their business.
Yeah.
You have to, you had that confidence in the business. You had those people that said, you have your problems, because Wizards of the Coast also do, which is another thing to really bring up, since Wizards of the Coast also owns that card game,
Magic the Gathering.
And they have also at the same time, which is again why I believe it's somebody just came into the company and was just like, let's make as much money as we can. So you have like the original printing of these cards, the Magic cards, and you have a lot of them that are actually worth a shit ton of money. And they've always said they will never reprint those cards because they want to keep that collector's value within those cards. But then this past year, they released a 30th anniversary edition with reprints of those cards. Something they said that they would never do. Yep. And on top of that, I think they were charging some ludicrous amount of money for these cards as well. And that itself just already put the Magic the Gathering crowd up in arms about how much bullshit this is. So as a company as a whole, you're losing this integrity. And it's going to take you a long time to get this integrity back with some of the more hardcore players.
Yeah, for sure. They used to actually have the rights to the Pokemon trading card game too, for about 4 years.
I don't doubt that because they were one of the bigger playing card manufacturers out there, so I don't doubt that.
Yeah, but the Nintendo sucked that up with the Pokemon company. Anyhow, that's all I have. The rest of the stuff I had available was just nonsense that we don't need to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have for now. Unless Joe had something else you wanted to bring up.
Wait another week.
All right. All right. So that's it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe.
I have been Cody, and as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.